Oh my God, that is ridiculous.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, have me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up.
What up, Savannah? What up, Marie?
Good evening, everyone. How you doing, Miko?
I am doing great, fabulous on this beautiful Friday. What about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. I'm just ready to do this nice, beautiful, educate the people in this podcast that we're doing tonight, Consequences of Conviction.
Consequences of conviction. And why are we bringing this to you? Because last week we talked about some things too. We talked about from conviction to conversion and how, as a result of some of the bad choices we made, we are doing great now. As I always love to say, we may have started out wrong, but look at us now. We are finishing strong. But we also want to do this. We believe it is very important for us to get this message out. And that is, there are consequences to conviction. And we're going to talk about a wide range of those consequences. But before we do that, I think that we must first give shouts out to our partner AB and also Julius Hall. Thank you for this opportunity, this platform at All Things Relevant Media. And also, Marie, tell us a little bit about what is OAA Savannah.
OAA is Offender Alumni Association, where we take and educate, empower, and encourage those. We have different resources for the people, resources to help them find jobs, even housing. We know that it's a tough time, with, even if you've been locked up 20 years ago or 20 days ago, it is hard for returning citizens at time when they come home. So we're just here to empower each other and to help one another.
I like that. That's what I'm talking about. See, sister on point now, sister on point. And so why else do we do this? Stories. We want to share stories. Why? Because stories are important. Your story is important. Your story helps to motivate and encourage others to tell their story. And then when we hear these stories, it encourages me to know that I can make it just like you yourself has made it. Also, what do? We want to change that narrative, that false narrative that many of us or all of us that are getting out are returning back into incarceration. That is not true. We are successful in our own rights, educationally, organizationally, relationally. We are successful. And so we want to tell these success stories so that we can change the narrative. But what are we going to do tonight? We're going to talk about the consequences of conviction. There are multiple categories that we'll be coming to you from. Number one, we're going to talk about fines and fees. Number two, we're going to talk about what's going on with our families, how our families are affected because of our conviction. Number three, we're going to talk about employment. Number four, we're going to talk about housing. And there are a wide range of things that we're going to talk about tonight. Marie, before we start, as we talk about fines and fees, share with the world what we did Wednesday.
Oh, it was good. We had Mr. Ray, and what is the other gentleman name, Miko?
David Schaefer.
David Schaefer's. They came from Atlanta because they're trying to get together to change policies and fines and fees and how it affect returning citizens. If you don't have a job, how are you going to pay the fines and the fees that they try to put on us when we return home? So they wanted information. Listen, and if you are a returning citizen, may I say this, Miko? If you are a returning citizen and you need help, like resources of information, where about how the fines and fees are affecting you, you can reach out to Julius Campbell. Okay, reach out to him because he has the information from Mr. David and Mr. Ray to help us. It got to be a collaborate of all of us to get together to change policy. Now you can sit here and listen to this and do nothing, and then nothing will change. But if we are allowing you this space to take and come on, reach out to Julius Campbell. I give y'all his number. It's 912-484-2145. And I'm telling you, he will take and do what it is for us to get this change where it can stop affecting people in fines and fees. I just want to read one thing to you all. In the city of LaGrange, you know how you have a fine and a fee when you come home? And this is, you can Google this. It's in LaGrange, Georgia. And this happened April the 10th, 2019. It said the city of LaGrange, Georgia has practice of shutting off the water of homes to residents who fail to pay unrelated court fees and fines. That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, Julius. I just want to just say that, and you can go ahead and say what you have to say, sir.
Well, while we were there Wednesday, we learned a great deal from these two gentlemen. Well, not just those two gentlemen, but we also had Coco Pappy to come out and share.
Yes.
These three people are awesome. Why? Because they are advocates for us. They help us with policies, help us to understand them, and also to fight against those policies that mean us no harm. That mean us no good and are harmful. But what did we do Wednesday? We actually met together to try to educate people on the convictions and the consequences thereof, as well as fees and fines. Some people may have a fee or a fine when they come home from incarceration. Some of us are paying that $36 for our parole. Some of us are paying for classes. Some of us are paying for restitution. Some of us are paying, all types of fees and fines that are coming our way. Many of us are signing on that dotted line to say that we promise to pay these fees and fines as a part of our probation and parole. Now, don't get me wrong. We did wrong. And as a result of those wrongs, there are consequences. We are not saying that is not the case. What we're saying is what we are doing with these absorbative fees and fines is we are making it difficult for returning citizens to be productive in society, especially when someone is just returning home from incarceration. Now, a fee, parole, a fine for class, restitution, child support, and all of these things. They don't even have the first job yet. And now
not even the first one.
Take care of all of these exorbitant fines and fees. And so what we want to know is, do you know anyone? Is there a story that you can share with us? Please, by all means, write in. Maria's already shared about this on Facebook. Write in and let us know if you know someone that is battling and struggling with these absorbative fees and fines and is hindering them from being successful, is making their transition back into society a difficult one rather than a smooth one. Share some other stories that you've heard, Marie, on fees and fines.
I guess, and also too, Miko, I read this also that the Supreme Court says that. Now, I don't know if the lawmakers are going by what the Supreme Court has ordered, but you do not supposed to put no one back in jail just because they can't pay their fine, their restitution. It is against the law to do that, and it states that in the Supreme Court. If you can pull it also too, Google that and pull it up. The Supreme Court had an order. You cannot just put a person back in jail, because common sense should tell you, and I know common sense is not common, it should tell you that when a person come home from prison and you go to get a job and the people are not allowing you to work, how am I going to pay that fine or that fee?
Truth.
That's why people, some people, not all, some people go back into what they know.
Mhm.
Because you putting pressure on me and me being afraid that I'm going to be returned back to jail, I'm gonna go steal this or do that to try to get the money to pay you. So
Right.
that's just so yes.
Well, and I
Mm-mm.
agree with you, Marie. And there's just more than what's up, Tisha? Always faithful, listening to us. Marie, that's Tisha
Hey,
all the way
T.
from Las Vegas. We love you, sis. There are stories, multiple stories. Family members have been affected by these
Yes.
fines because you know if the returning citizen just coming home does not have the means or the job to be able to pay for these, or they get behind because now they're trying to get employment and housing, which we will get ready to talk about in a moment. Family members are now left to foot that bill. And so, what we are wanting to do, if you would hit that share button and give
Right.
us some stories. These stories will help us to go back to the Capitol. Ray and Coco and David, they can go back to the Capitol and they can at least be the voice for those of us that are voiceless. And so we need you in the church community. We need you
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
neighborhood. The stories that you're hearing that other men and women are struggling as a result of fees and fines, by all means, please get in touch with us so that we can get their voices heard. So that's fees and fines. Do you have any other before we move to the next subject?
No, I don't. I don't have anything, Miko.
So the next thing I want to talk about is employment. Employment,
Mm.
consequences of conviction. What are some
Yes.
consequences as a result of your conviction as it relates to employment, Marie?
Well, as it relates to employment, the conviction part of it is that they didn't want to give me a job
And
because
why did they want to give you a job?
I had forgery.
Hmm.
I had forgery, and it shows distrust.
Wow.
So they did not want to give me a job.
Mhm.
You know.
I think that's a hard thing when you are a mother or you are a young man or an older
Hmm.
man coming back, especially a single parent, and you're out looking for employment. And because of your conviction, these
Hmm.
consequences have caught up with us and it hinders us from getting jobs. Or
Right.
dare we say, at least stable, gainful employment. That's the key. We don't knock any employment because a hard day's work counts. So we don't
Right.
knock employment. However, we all in life want to grow up successful,
Right.
want to
Right.
advance. And so there are many that are finding it difficult to get employment simply because of past convictions. Now, I know we talked about this when you and I went to Savannah State and we did band the box. You remember that?
Right. And our students couldn't get, and you can't, guess what? Even with your conviction, sometimes you can't even get federal funding. Federal funding like grants for you to go to school. The Pell Grant, let me tell you, if they know that you have, and especially a drug charge, Miko, if they
Mhm.
know that you have a drug charge, they don't want to give you that federal money to go to school.
Right. Another consequence to our
Hmm.
conviction. And, I know a lot of us, we think that, well, at least we've heard this. When you get out of prison, you can go to any place and they'll do a federal bonding and they give you insurance. That insurance will cover you. But a lot of people don't go for that these days.
Exactly.
People don't want to hear that. They don't want to deal with you. And so what we want to do is we want to know, what can we do? What can we do to help us to get gainful employment? Now, I want to qualify something. Not all employees are hindering people or stopping
Right.
from getting jobs. I am so blessed that Deep Center has given me an opportunity, because for many of you, you know that I had did 26 years in prison. And when I came home, I know Deep Center was a blessing to me. They didn't just look at the mistakes of my past, they look at the skill sets that I have acquired. They looked at the education that I had acquired. And so they gave me an opportunity. So my hat's off, da-da, to go employers that are giving people second chance. There's a slogan called "Second Chance Employer," "Second Chance Housing."
Right.
People are really giving returning citizens a second chance. But we wanted to bring this to your attention so that you will understand the plight of returning citizens,
But you,
the consequences that hinder us from getting gainful employment. I'm sorry, go ahead, Marie.
no, I'm sorry, Miko. Just like Darian and I was saying that night on Wednesday night, like how long do you want a person to keep paying? Because just like Mr. Hall would say, a debt paid is no longer debt. That's a very good slogan, but and in reality, the people who make the laws don't see it like that,
Right, right.
because they would really try to hold you to it. You can go to prison. You done been in prison. Some people done did 30 years. You did 26 years, Miko, and you are blessed. But it's some people who don't have that reality of saying, my hats off, I could come home and get gainful employment, get housing. Some people don't have that. And so that's why Julius and I are getting together with the Deep Center and with Ray and David to try to change policy. Now here we're here sharing on this platform for you to reach out. Is we have people that can go into the Capitol and to talk for us, but you have to come on, people. You have to come on, hit like and share. And to give this information away, because guess what? If it was not you incarcerated, it's a loved one that has been incarcerated. So be the voice for that loved one that is behind bars.
Oh,
Okay, Julie,
I
go
love
ahead.
that. I love that. Be the voice of that loved one that is behind bars. Well, what is another consequence to convictions? Well, we talked about fines and fees. We've talked about employment, and we've even talked a little bit about education opportunities. But what about housing, Marie?
Oh my goodness, housing. Let me tell you something. If you have if you have a drug charge in housing, you go to a lot of charges. If you don't been incarcerated in prison, they do not like these apartments complexes. They do not want to give you a place to stay. A lot of people have to find private owners to get a place to live. And that is you mean to tell me that you will not allow a person a place to live? That's a necessity, Miko. A
Hmm.
place to live, water, that's a necessity for people to have. And you are not allowing a person to have a place to live because of their past mistakes.
Wow, I've heard that, and I haven't found this quote or this to be. I need to find and do my homework. I will, but that the fastest growing homeless population is returning citizens, and it's because, as you just stated, many homeowners, landlords are turning the apartment managers turning away returning citizens applications because of their past because of their background. We can't
Right.
pass background checks. What do I mean when I say we can't pass background checks? Well, when you are filling out an application for that
Hmm.
home or that apartment, you have to
Hmm.
fill out some security issues. And when they
Right.
send off and come back because you have incarceration in your background, then you are denied. I myself
Right.
was denied multiple times because of my background. I had money, I had a good job, but because of
Hmm.
my background, I was denied. And that is a hurtful feeling when you're
And Miko,
hmm,
and also Julie, excuse me, how many times you had to pay a fee for that application?
exactly. That fee was upwards of 50 to 75 to $100 for an
Hmm.
application fee, and that was non-refundable. You didn't have you were whether you got that apartment or not. That fee was paid. That is not good. That's
That's
not
not
good
one.
at all. What that does is that hinders people from becoming the best that they can be. Can you imagine you just getting out of prison, incarceration? You're doing well. The mindset is changed. You got your gainful employment, and now you're looking for your own place to live to get established. And when you go out, you are having to pay $50 to $100 per application fee, and you're not guaranteed that place. That is a hope breaker, if you
Yes,
will.
it is.
And many people are going through those situations. So, and I just wanted to bring that to people's attention. What can we do? I know Fred Green has been trying to get out and change the mindset of homeowners and landlords by providing incentives or whatever can be done. But we need help. Listen, we need help. Do you know of
Yes,
any
we
stories?
do.
Do you know of any that somebody in your family, loved one, that has been denied employment or that has been
Mhm.
denied housing because of their past?
I'm
So,
telling you, they need it. And guess what?
mhm.
You can take and call Julius, and he can help you with the stories. And you can be anonymous. You do not have to tell your name if you don't want to. You can be anonymous and share your stories where Coco and Ray and David can take your stories to the Capitol. See, that's why we need numerous of people. You can't go to the Capitol with one story because those people are not going. Those politicians are not going to be moved by that. But if they see that there's numerous people that are sharing their stories, and you can, like I said again, you could be anonymous. That will move them. That should move them. But you have to do it. You can't say, "Oh, that's good." Don't talk the talk and don't walk the walk.
Tell them,
I'm
sister.
okay. I'm sorry.
Tell them, sister. What is another consequence of conviction? Well, your voting rights. Your voting rights. I thought this was important to bring up also because we're in that point right now where we are getting ready to hit the polls, and it is imperative that we encourage people, motivate people, educate people to participate in voting. Why? Because your voice counts. Your
Yes,
vote matters, especially when we have people that are entering into these positions and they don't mean us any good. What do you think about that, Marie?
you. Now, I'm gonna be really nice about it because I'm on the show with Miko. I really don't. That's not good. We are still human beings. You understand? We have made error, we made mistakes, but that don't mean that we don't need another chance. And I'm quite sure the only difference between you and I is I got caught and you didn't, because there's a lot of things that you do that are not right. And don't you know, Miko, I read today that if what you owe, I know that we all fines and fees, but fines and fees, if you don't pay, don't you know that they're trying to pass a law where won't even allow you to vote? So you
Wow.
won't vote if you're a felon and you have those fees still attached to you that they're trying to get you, that saying that your vote can't count.
Hmm.
So
You
people, let me go ahead, Miko.
know, I just wanted to, you know, interject. I can't vote. Reason why I can't vote is because I'm still on parole. But I
Right.
just recently learned that there are nearly 80,000 returning citizens who now they can vote, but they're not, or they don't know that they can. And so, just to be able to use your power to change the environment, if you will, to change the scale of the power that is out there right now. Would you not go out and vote? Would you also just hit that share button? Or even if you don't share this, would you go and tell somebody or encourage somebody, vote, use your power?
Vote.
Because there are, right now is getting ready to come down to the point where laws are getting ready to be enacted, and these laws are not for all. These laws
Exactly.
not for all. And so we can't complain if we don't get out and exercise our right. Don't you agree,
That's,
Marie?
I totally agree. I think it's a beautiful thing when you can go and vote. Listen, I hear a lot of people say, "Well, it's not going to change nothing." How you know? If you're not exercising your right to vote, you can't sit at the table when it's time to make a decision, because guess what? You didn't do what you were supposed to do, and that is to vote.
True.
Vote, people. People have fought and died for us to vote.
Mhm. You know, I just want to encourage once more those of you that are returning citizens, those of you that are justice impacted. Uh, if you are no longer on probation or parole, you
Hmm.
can vote.
You can
You
vote.
can vote. Even if you are incarcerated and you have not yet received a penalty or you have not yet been convicted, you can vote. Exercise that voice to be able to vote because
Yeah.
it is important to do so.
Hmm.
So, Marie, you see, we got some information in the chat. Can you read the chat right there?
I can't see it, Miko.
Okay, okay, I got you. I got you. Let me
Okay,
get
I can't.
that good. Don't complain if you're not going to do anything. Don't complain if you're not going to do anything.
That is so true.
I
That
agree.
is so true.
So what are we talking about again? Consequences.
Of conviction.
We've talked about fees and fines. We've
Hmm.
talked about even education, being
Yes.
denied education, higher education, that is. We've talked about employment and we
Hmm.
talked about housing. And then finally, we just talked about voting. But
Hmm.
there's something else. There's another consequence to conviction, and it is relationships. Relationships. Many of our children are affected because of our conviction,
Yes.
especially when we have left them home alone
Mm-mm.
with a
Mm-mm.
single parent. Um, African American males are those who have a loved one that a parent that's incarcerated are much more likely themselves to also A, drop out of school, and B, become incarcerated. What do you say about
Hmm.
that, Marie?
That is so, it's hard because being that I'm a mother and I left when I was incarcerated, I think I had like, oh goodness, I had like 9 kids.
Mhm.
And having 9 babies and leaving them, and Joshua, he was so young when I left. He was about 6 months. So, that was very, very hard. I thank God for my cousin because she played a part. She was living in Atlanta. And when she found out that I was going to be incarcerated, she asked me that I want her to come home. And she came home and stopped her job and everything. And she came home and she took care of my kids for me. And not a lot of people have that because a lot of kids go into the system, into foster care and things like this. So I'm so very grateful for my cousin Ebony for doing what she did for me. So we have to. It's just that's why I want us to get out and vote because I really want policy to be changed.
Again, hats off to those like Ebony was her name.
Yeah, my cousin Ebony.
Hats off
That's
again
right.
to Ebony and many others that are stepping up and helping, that are
Right.
taking that responsibility, be it a sibling, a parent, a grandparent,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, that are stepping up because many of our young people right now are affected by our incarceration. And we're not heaping condemnation on anyone. We're just simply bringing out the facts that there are consequences to convictions. And so we
Mm-hmm.
want to do everything we can on this platform to remind people of that, returning citizens. Beware, not just for us, but you can share that with other people. Beware,
Yeah.
there are consequences to conviction. So we're not going to stay on long tonight. I definitely wanted us to come on and just share what was going on. And I believe that when you are able to tell people about these things, you ever heard it say warning comes before what?
Destruction.
Warning comes before destruction. And when these
Mm-hmm.
opportunities are presented for us to share, especially with young people or returning citizens, we want to encourage you to know that, believe me, you may not think about them, but they are consequences uh, to convictions. So, Marie, before we get ready to close out, encourage our listeners one last time.
I want to encourage you that if you are not on probation or parole and you have done your time, I would like for you to go out and vote. You know why? Because you deserve that. It is an honor to have your name put on the ballot that say that you can vote, that you are a citizen. I don't know why they call us returning citizens because I haven't returned from anywhere. You understand? I just want to say that it is a pleasure for me to vote. I want you all to go out and vote. I love you all. Guess what? As Miko said, we may have started off wrong, but we can finish strong. Do not let allow your past to dictate your future. You are more than what they say. You are more than those numbers, than what they have on the shirt. And that's all I got to say, Nico.
Well, as we get ready to come to a close, again, I too want to encourage you. Listen, you can do it. You can do it. We may have messed up, but you can do it. We
Yes.
voice to the voiceless, voice for the voiceless. Tell somebody that there are consequences to our convictions. But as we talked about last week, when that happens, guess what? Also, there from conviction to conversion, we can make a difference. And I believe that we are making a difference. One person, one podcast at a time. Be blessed. We'll see you again next Friday, if the Lord's will, on another edition of Incarceration to Incorporation. Yeah.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
like that.